here, go ahead and grab a pen and paper because you may want to take some notes. So today I am answering that burning question that I receive all the time. Exactly how much should I be eating for weight loss? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Inaki. I am a board-certified family medicine physician practicing here in Louisiana. My full-time job is emergency medicine, and my other full-time job is weight loss, really on myself, and I share with everyone everything that I have learned in this journey to take me from a 300-pounder, I would say about 10, 11 years ago, to what I am today. I sat today at 182 pounds. It has been a long, tedious journey of learning. But anyway, today we're talking about what we should be eating. We will also address the questions that I get about a caloric deficit and also the questions that I have received about macronutrients. Listen, everything when it comes to weight loss is an estimate. There's no accurate number for everyone. So we've got some equations online, we've got some calculations. One of the things you've got to remember is that you will be learning about yourself. These are my show notes. I want to make sure I don't keep out or I don't forget anything. Now, if you're confused about how much you should be eating, or say you're about to start, don't know where to start, with what, or you've hit a weight loss plateau, meaning you've lost weight and for about a month or two, things are stagnant and nothing is changing, you have not achieved your goal, or you just want to learn more about weight loss, period. This is for you. Take some notes. First things first, go ahead and share this video with your friends or tag someone who may actually benefit from this video. Very, very important. Now, a few things we'll talk about is basal metabolic rate. These are just words that you hear out there. I've heard about basal metabolic rate. I've heard about total daily energy expenditure. That's a mouthful. I've also heard about caloric deficit. We hear all these things, and these things are important. Why? Because weight loss is a balance of energy. You've got to be spending more energy than you take in for your body to start shedding some weight. That said, for those of us women in menopause, for those of us who are obese, there's another factor that comes into play when we're talking about hormones and different things like that. Today, though, we are going to talk strictly about energy. So, again, like this video, share it, tag someone who may benefit, and go ahead and type in the chat, in the comments, tell me where you're watching from. I see some of my boot campers online. Hello. Hello, Miss Mariel. Hello, Natasha. I see you, so go ahead and type in there where you're watching from. One of the things that I do almost full-time also is teach women in my private boot camp everything that I know when it comes to what the American Board of Obesity Medicine teaches us to share with you. So if you haven't joined April's boot camp, which is Belly Fat Challenge month for us in boot camp, go ahead and join right now. So first definition, basal metabolic rate. What is it? It's simply the amount of energy that your body spends when it is sitting here doing nothing. Imagine you're in a coma. Don't want you to be in a coma, but imagine you're in a coma, eyes closed, you're not waking up, you're not brushing your hair, you're doing nothing but laying there. Your body needs some energy though to stay alive. That is called your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. It depends on your age, whether you're male or female, depends on how much you weigh, depends on your body fat percentage. Now, that's the first thing that you want to know when you're trying to figure out how much you need to eat to lose weight. First thing is your basal metabolic rate. Well, there's a nice little calculator there. The smart scientists call this the Harris-Benedict developed an equation, so you can go into Google, type the basal metabolic rate, The nice calculator comes up, you plug in your weight, your height, your age, whether you're male or female, hit the button and it calculates a specific number. So I calculated my basal metabolic rate today, and it sits about 1,500 calories that I need just to stay here, stay alive, doing nothing. Well, of course, nobody, I hope not you, you're not sitting there doing nothing. We're moving around, we're drinking, we're talking, so now your body is using just a little bit more energy. In addition to that, you may be working out, just like I am, and things like that. So now you need to know your total daily energy expenditure. The total daily energy expenditure is how much your body actually truly requires to complete its daily function. So it is your total, your basal metabolic rate plus a certain multiplier of your activity level that is specific for you. Now, a lot of math, you don't have to think that much. Again, go to Google, find a TDEE calculator and put in there how much you weigh, whether you're male or female, how tall you are, all these things, and in addition to that, you're going to put in how active you are. Now, this is why so many people make mistakes, okay? Most of us are truly either having light activity level or moderate, maybe not heavy. Sometimes we overestimate the amount of activity that we are performing. I'll give you an example. For somebody who goes to the gym 1 hour every single day, 5 days a week, your activity level is probably light to moderate. Maybe not quite moderate. I will stick with the light. We think we are not that active, but consider the fact that there are 24 hours in the day. And you only went to the gym for 1 hour and you came home, sat around on the job and things like that. So please type in there you are light activity. It's important for you to know how much energy you need overall per day. So now that said, you see how inaccurate these equations are. They will give you an estimate. This is why if you're working with me in my boot camp, there is no one size fits all. In fact, your TDEE will change from one day to the next. Well, we all need one starting point anyway, so go ahead and calculate your TDEE. You don't have to think of formulas. Google it, plug your numbers in, you'll get an answer. So now I did that for myself today. My TDEE came up around 2,400 calories per day. That's overall how much I need to consume to stay the same weight. So for example, if I am trying to lose weight, all of a sudden I need to change the energy balance. That's where your food comes in. That's where you start thinking about the caloric deficit. Okay, how do we come about a caloric deficit? I want to figure out a healthy way to lose weight. Now, back in my days when I was 300 pounds, I said I have so much weight to lose, surely I can lose 10 pounds a month, and I jumped into all kinds of restrictive diets. Of course, I was able to give up 30 pounds, 40 pounds in about 3-4 months, and I was so happy. But when you do that, there was something happens. A few things happen. You're doing things that are so restrictive, it is just so hard, almost impossible to sustain that lifelong. What I want you to really consider is just making changes that you can sustain lifelong, and you can maintain these healthy habits lifelong. That is why I do not encourage any drastic weight loss. In fact, in medicine, what we say is a good average is for somebody to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. Now, 2 pounds every single week is also pushing it. That is quite restrictive. In my weight loss clinic, actually I had a clinic yesterday, my biggest loser, she joined in December of last year, so she's now about 16 months in. She's lost about 85 pounds. Okay, she started at a certain point and she lost 85 pounds, which is huge. It's a whole lot of weight. Now, so it's going to vary depending on your starting point, depending on how much you weigh, depending on how old you are, and just so many things. I recommend that you consider losing about half to 1 pound every single week. That's a good average. That doesn't really tighten you up in the box. That gives you some flexibility. You're not going through so much mental stress. I'm not saying run out there and continue eating your burgers and your fries. Hey, stop that. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. But what you want to consider is slowing it down. Because when you lose weight slowly, of course, your body is not deficient, too many cravings are not kicking in, you're not sad and miserable, your energy level is good, and then you are able to sustain it long term. In addition to that, your skin is not suffering, and now you can do some exercises that will help you stay nice and toned. Alright, can you believe it? I have lost, what is it, about 121 or 22 pounds over weighing on 6 years, keeping it off. So that took me quite a while. And when I just made up my mind right there in the beginning to stop all the crazy things I was doing that were not sustainable for me, one of the things that I told myself for whatever reason was to lose, that I was going to lose 35 pounds a year. Why is that? Because of course the weight loss journey is not linear. You're not going to start here and your weight will slowly decrease all the time. It's not linear. You're going to gain some, you're going to lose some. It will fluctuate all day, every day from day to day. But you want to see that overall drop in your weight by a half to 1 pound every single week average. And if you don't lose weight, say in about 2 weeks, you can always come back, recalculate things, or you may want to consider what you're doing. You may actually be gaining muscle, you may be retaining some fluid, you may be burning fat. So long as you're feeling good, you're doing the right thing. So let's backtrack to the caloric deficit. Now that we have calculated our total daily energy expenditure, mine sits at about 2,400 calories today. It will vary from day to day, so you just get a number and start working with it. 1 pound of fat, you need to burn 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound of fat. So that averages out, if I divide 3,500 by 7, I need to be in a caloric deficit of 500 calories per day. So instead of eating 2,400 calories, I should be consuming 1,900 calories per day. That said, since I do not promote anyone to be counting calories, doing the math, staying here on the numbers, of course, let's go ahead and just loosen up a little and look at a range. I will say, for me personally, I want to stay somewhere between 1,800 and 2,200 calories per day for me to be able to lose half to 1 pound a week. That is a caloric deficit. How many calories do you need to remove per day in order to lose the weight? It's a good idea though to make that calculation so you know where you're starting, you know what you're working with, and you can track things so that you can come back and look and see what you did that was working, and you can also catch some errors. Tracking is nice. What was I using for tracking? MyFitnessPal. How often do you need to track? Every single day. For how long? 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I mean, you don't need to track forever and ever. I like to track for a short period of time that gives me just an idea of what's happening. But when you're tracking, okay, you want to be putting down every single thing. That said, try not to be 100% on anything. Try not to be just bogged down with the numbers. Again, I'm giving myself a good, accurate, a good estimate there. Let's see here. Alright, so we have calculated that, and I've figured out I need to consume about 1,800 calories to 2,200 calories average per day, and you want to give yourself a range, not one number to hit every single time, because it doesn't work like that. So give yourself a nice little average to work with. Alright, now that I know about how many calories I need to consume, and then my next thing I want to think about is what? What will I be eating? And that's where your macronutrients come into play. Your macronutrients, or your macros, abbreviated, we just say macros. These are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So let's talk about these three macros. So let's say you go out there and you have a sandwich, bite into it, you're still eating the three main macros: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. You need all three to function well, for your body to have balance, for your body to maintain homeostasis. It will always try to come to balance, and when things are not balanced, it's just thrown off. So your first macronutrient is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates. When we are obese, I'm going to tell you what happens with the hormones. Even though we say weight loss, we know is just not only energy. Several things come into play, especially when you're my age of 54 and now you're in menopause, and now so your hormones are all out of whack, and they are also driving things, so you've got to work with that also. We're talking strictly about energy. Carbohydrates, those ones are the ones that actually give us the energy. Carbohydrates get into your system, insulin, that hormone comes up, breaks it down. It is stored as glycogen in your liver, ready source of energy. So let's say you're not eating, you still have energy because your liver breaks that down and the glucose is circulating, the brain is alive, muscles are moving. So now, what happens? Why is it that we gain weight though? Because we consumed too many carbohydrates. That insulin level, that hormone, is now a little bit too high. It is so high that our body is saying, I don't care that you're this high. All of a sudden, your body is not feeling the amount of insulin that you have. So your insulin level is high, and that insulin is a fat storage hormone. This is why those of us, when we are so obese, we are in insulin resistance, because our insulin levels are too high, and now the blood sugar is circulating everywhere. Next thing you know, you're diabetic. That's what happens. So one of the ways you want to think about is the quality and quantity of that macronutrient, carbohydrate. Yes, it is important for the energy, but we will be talking about the quantity and the quality next. The next macronutrient you want to think about is protein. Protein is a great one. It's the building block of our muscles. It helps us repair those muscles, keep us functioning well. It's responsible for making the antibodies and different things like that. Keeps you alive and all those things. So that's good. Proteins. Everybody needs proteins. The next macronutrient is fat. Now, I made this mistake when I started off. I was on a low-fat diet. Big mistake. It is not good for you. Not good for you. Do not go on a high-fat diet. Now, I don't recommend it. At the end of the day, do what you want. But it's not recommended, though. What you want to eat is all three groups in the correct amount. But fats are important. We're talking about healthy fats. Fats are important. Why? Because those form the structure of the nerves, or the structure of most of the hormones. They actually keep you feeling full longer. So fats help decrease your cravings. So you want to include healthy fats in your diet. All right. Now that we've talked about all three, how much of all three should we be eating? You know what? Let me look at my sheet here. So back in the days, this is what we recommended. I'll give you two different equations. You want to take and test it on yourself, see how your body responds. But now that we know, my caloric deficit tells me if I want to lose half a pound to 1 pound per week, I should be consuming 1,800 to 2,200 calories per day, average. So now, back in the days, we used to say 30% of your nutrition needs to come from carbs, 25% from fats, and 45% from protein. That's still fine. You can try that. What I recommend now, which is the recent studies show that this is a little bit more effective, is that you should consume 50% carbohydrates, 35% protein, and 15% fat. That said, what does it translate into? Okay, so that translates into about 200 grams of carbohydrates, 175 grams of protein, and 35 grams of fat. When I say that though, I look at that number of 200 to 250 grams of carbohydrates and I'm thinking, that is a little high for me, especially seeing that I was overweight, and especially knowing that when you're overweight and have been a certain weight, your body will always try to get you back to that heaviest weight that was found and discovered in studies. So I personally, I drop my carbohydrate requirement down to a certain number that sits about 150. That works for me, and I tell myself average. I want to be consuming at least 35 to 40 grams of protein per meal. I may have a snack which will be protein also once a day, 30 to 45 grams also. Generally, that will put me at about 160 to 170 grams of protein. This is the way I recommend that if you're going to build your plate. If you're in my clinic, you already know what I'm going to say. If you're in boot camp, you pretty much know what I'm going to say. When you go to build your plate, the very first thing you want to think about is protein, especially if you are a female who is perimenopausal, above the age of 35, or postmenopausal. Think proteins first. Yes, we've talked about the energy expenditure. However, when you're perimenopausal, postmenopausal, now your body's hormonal environment on the inside changes. Why? Estrogen level is dropping, you're losing muscle mass naturally anyway, and your body fat distribution is changing. That's how come we get this pouch here when we are older women. What you want to do is protein on your plate first. 35 to 40 grams at least 3 times a day, and if you're thinking snack, think about a protein snack. Protein first, and then add a healthy carbohydrate. Vegetables are nutrient dense. They contain vitamins, they contain minerals, they contain fiber, so think vegetables. The bright colored ones, the green leafy ones, get that on your plate next. And then you think about a healthy fat. Avocado, things like salmon, those are double whammies. They've got protein and healthy fats. Always build your plate starting with that protein, and then add healthy carbohydrates to it, and then add some fat. Eat all 3 food groups. I hope this information has really helped you and helped just explain to you how many calories you need to consume per day, and especially the question that I get almost every single day from my Instagram followers. Thank you so much, 93,000 of you. Thank you. I'm just overwhelmed with the love. I have over 100,000 followers in all my social media channels. It's unbelievable. So I really thank you. It's because of you. When you follow me, it encourages me to continue to share this information. So I've had so many questions about a caloric deficit. I hope this video has helped explain. A caloric deficit simply means how much less you need to eat per day in order to lose weight. And that's it. Example, if you need to consume 2,000 calories per day to stay the same weight, your deficit should be about 250 or 500, meaning that you should consume between 1,500 calories and 1,750 calories per day in order to lose about half a pound to 1 pound a week. All right, everyone, come down to the chat below, send me your questions. I'll come back and watch it, and I will be happy to ask you to answer your questions. Also, share this video with your friends. Follow me so that you don't miss the information that I love putting out there to you after lots and lots of research. Thank you, and have a fantastic day. Tomorrow is Saturday, so I will be back tomorrow with that walkathon. And again, boot campers cycle number 21. Welcome. We will be getting this waistline trimmer together. All right. Thank you. Bye. Let's see if I can close this down correctly. I always mess it up. Let's see here.